When the rains came, there was a deluge. 𝗀𝗃𝗃 and Duncan village around East London were underwater in less than 2 hours.
People are heartbroken. People are still in shock.
As the rain continued falling, the unfolding disaster was captured on social media.
That scarf over there is what remains from one of the victims that drowned in this water. Family members were coming from that side where there's about 144 farms, and we're going to that settlement just over there, and it seems slightly calmer now, but this entire river was overflowing with water and they thought they could make it, but they didn't.
In 𝗀𝗃𝗃, 18-year-old 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗶𝗵𝗆, her mother and 16-year-old sister were inside their home, built on the floodplain. Corinne Conradi is from NGO 𝗃𝗿𝗶𝗴𝗶𝗵𝗆.
They had no chance. 18-year-old was swept with a very strong current in 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃, while her mother and the 16-year-old had to climb a tree just to get away, and unfortunately they couldn't save her, and their house is right next to the river.
𝗀𝗃𝗃 was just days away from receiving her matric results.
The mother of the deceased 18-year-old was discharged from hospital, and she came home to a site where she had not only lost a daughter, but also where their home used to be. And she was in tears saying, "How will I bury my daughter? Right now, I don't even have money to buy a loaf of bread."
Last week's flooding claimed 27 lives in the Eastern Cape, 8 of them in the Buffalo City municipality. Among the dead, selfless K9 search and rescue diver Pierre Marks. His death was vividly described by local councillor 𝗃𝗃𝗃𝗿𝗆.
So when the police were called in to assist with drowning, that's when Captain Marks retrieved 3 bodies before he himself was entangled by a rope and drowned. So it's said that we've lost 5 people.
2 of the dead were parents to 6 children. We accompanied 𝗃𝗿𝗶𝗴𝗶𝗆 to their home.
The disastrous weather has left nothing but death and destruction in their wake. Many families now find themselves in a position where they're left with nothing. This might not seem like much to many of us, but it is a home that now doesn't have a mother and a father.
Nearby, we spoke to daycare owner 𝗃𝗵𝗵𝗀𝗆.
So just tell me, Mama, how has this affected you, with the floods? Phela when you run a daycare center nabantwana.
Affected kakhulu loo nto leyo. Abantwana bam zonke izinto bazabo zimke.
All of it is gone, Mama?
Oh, gone. Even my children, they don't have uniform.
Have you gotten any help?
No, no help at all.
How far was the water? How bad was this?
Oh, it was up at the windows.
This is 𝗀𝗃𝗃𝗃 right now, guys.
You may think that perhaps this is all pollution, but it isn't. There was water that ran through here and totally devastated the communities that were along this flood line or floodplain. As you can see, there are beds and people's belongings that have now been totally washed away, and they're now left with nothing, and families are destitute.
Worryingly, there was little to no warning of the coming disaster. Buffalo City spokesperson 𝗃𝗵𝗃𝗀𝗃 says the law dictates that the alerts go to the provincial government first.
We were not part of early warning systems from the South African Weather Services, but I think between 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock, we had a flash flood. Heavy rains came down the city. There were areas that we quickly identified, and this was not one of them.
You say that you weren't part of systems. Why?
I think our disaster management team only alerted us an hour just before the actual storm that there is an early warning system, and by that time it was too late. It became the biggest storm that we've had in this city for decades.
South African Weather Service forecaster 𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗶𝗃 Maliage says it's up to the province to warn its municipalities.
So we send out the alert, and the disaster management receives it, and they have to react in terms of where the disaster is expected.
How do they work and communicate with the communities? Because this can happen within a matter of seconds. A house is washed away, a life is lost.
Within a matter of 15 minutes, a thunderstorm may become severe. So when we send out alerts, the disaster management are supposed to be in communication with the smaller communities to let them know that this is what's happening, this is what is expected.
The province's disaster and relief management team falls under the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, or COGTA. But its website is incomplete, and if you call the emergency line, you're greeted with this.
Sorry, the guy's number is not in service.
COGTA Eastern Cape didn't respond directly to our questions, but sent this statement. Natural incidents that result in disaster have been occurring much more frequently, which calls for proactive and coordinated efforts to improve early warning systems and enable a swift response.
We are in a transition as a city. We've been implementing water restrictions, that a lot is taking place within our vicinity.
That makes the need for early warning systems even more critical as we face what appears to be even more extreme weather occurring more frequently. What unfolded in the Eastern Cape last week and in KwaZulu-Natal in the past few days comes at a time of extreme events in other parts of the world, like record-breaking heat in Siberia. Out-of-control winter wildfires to move.
The people in Tangen village are resisting to move for the reasons that we are very much aware of. They want to be close to the economic cities, and we don't want to say a situation of this nature is going to assist us in that process, but we are hoping that through the devastation that we've seen, it will be much easier to convince people that they need to move.
So the accusation that you might have acted slow, would you think it's a fair one, or?
I wouldn't look at any family member in the eye and defend that accusation. From our side as government, we are trying to do our very best to try and assist the situation. We're not going to bring anyone back.
On Wednesday, Buffalo City was declared a disaster. That'll give the city access to much-needed funding from the national government as it attempts to rebuild.
The immediate relief will be mattresses, it will be blankets, it will be food, hygiene items, clothing, and gift to the givers. You're standing in our warehouse. As you can see, our warehouse is empty as we've been distributing. But as soon as we're done with this flooding in Bransana in East London, we'll fill it up again and we'll prepare for the next disaster.